Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Once again, we will be exploring true horror stories taken directly from various Reddit pages. For those who are new to the channel, I will be adding software to my voice to make it a little scarier, so don't be confused when I sound a little different. If you guys enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe, it really does help the channel grow. Without further ado, let's get started.
I kidnap and kill Uber drivers. I have an urge to kill that always needs to be satisfied, and my technique is flawless. Haven't been caught. Not yet. The thrill is invigorating. It really is very simple. I identify a certain part of the country where I want to start. I find a random bystander. I ask them if they can order me an Uber as my phone is dead. They usually say yes. The Uber arrives, and I get in the back seat. This is the part where I give them a really far location that is obsolete from any civilization. Most of them actually got nervous and jokingly asked if they were being kidnapped. I always changed my answer to test out what scared the shit out of them more. I had fun with that. When we do arrive, I usually kill them very slowly. I'd bring out my gun and order them to exit the car. I'd then give them a knife and tell them to stab themselves. I'd warn them that if they didn't, I'd torture and kill them. You'd be surprised how many people just surrender and actually do it. Humanity is hilarious. I'd then just dump the body and use their car to get out of that place. When I tell you it's perfect, it really is. I've done this 13 times now, and it has never failed me. The police, however, have picked up on this. They call me the Uber Terrorizer. They still have no leads, but they identified a pattern and alerted the public. Made my ritual harder, but the thrill has never been so intoxicating. It was time for me to kill again. I found some innocent-looking kid on the street and asked him to order me an Uber. He was reluctant, but I always knew how to look harmless, and he agreed. When the Uber arrived, I shared my drop-off point with him. It was an alligator swamp. Luckily, this idiot didn't get suspicious at all. When we got close to the location, he missed the exit. "You missed it," I said. "I know," he said as he abruptly stopped the car in the rural part of this town. "What are you doing?" "I'm gonna need you to get out of the car." "No, asshole." I pulled out my gun. He suddenly pushed the seat back into me very hard, causing me to drop my weapon. "My lucky stars! You must be the Uber Terrorizer," he said as he broke into laughter. "Who the fuck are you?" I said as I was being crushed under the seat. "I'll actually be doing this world a kindness for once. I like to call myself the Bahram." My courier. He got out his own gun, then he turned around and faced me. He shot all his ammo down into the seat. I think I got hit with all the bullets. I could see my own guts. "Terrorizer my ass," I faintly heard as everything went dark. My best friend just got brutally murdered. My phone began buzzing. The incoming video call was from Frankie's burner phone. My heart was palpitating rapidly, and a painful pit swelled up in my belly. The video feed lit up with a sinister ambiance as I answered, revealing a chilling scene. The screen was filled with hooded figures in an otherwise empty-looking room. In middle of said room, a figure was on its knees, with their hands tied behind their back. The room was dimly lit and dank. The surroundings appeared to be the basement of a warehouse or factory. Large water pipes scaled the walls from the ceiling to the floor. There was a low but constant hum of what I assumed to be machinery of some sort. One of the masked figures stepped forward, his gloved hands reaching to slowly remove the shroud of the kneeling person and revealed a terrified face. With a sudden and heart-wrenching gesture, Frankie's identity was revealed and I could see the fear etched into his eyes. Just then, Mr. Voss, the cold and ruthless figure, snatched Frankie's phone and glared back at me with contempt. He wasted no time taunting me, his voice laced with sadistic pleasure. "We caught your rat, where he doesn't belong. How many of us have you executed? Dozens? More? It's my turn, and I'm going to show you exactly what it feels like to lose your best friend." Frankie's vulnerability mirrored that of the rusting pipes and the crumbling shambles of the room around him. Mr. Voss focused the phone back on Frankie before ordering one of his masked henchmen to deliver a brutal punch to Frankie's face. His cruel laugh then filled the room, chilling me to the core. Through the laughing, "Damn, that looked like it hurt," Malachi finished. Mr. Voss then asked the ominous question, if Frankie had any last words. With unyielding determination, Frankie raised his chin in defiance and locked eyes with me. Even through the phone's screen, I could feel his unwavering resolve. His voice echoed through the sparse room and carried a message of strength. "Phoenix, keep the mission alive. He who fears death is in denial," he proclaimed. "How noble, stupid, but noble," Malachi replied, before ordering his masked henchman to slowly withdraw something from just out of the camera's frame. It was revealed to be a sawed-off shotgun. I felt helpless, and panic surged through me, but I couldn't look away. In an agonizingly slow moment, the shotgun was aimed directly at Frankie's head. I didn't even get a chance to bargain with them, and before I could close my eyes, there was a deafening blast that erupted from the screen. The masked guy squeezed the trigger, and Frankie's head exploded like a watermelon. The gory sounds of the remnants that used to be Frankie's skull violently splattered to the ground. It was a tidal wave of blood, bone, and brain matter that scattered across the dirty concrete floor. Malachi, his sinister face filled with malevolence, turned the phone back to himself. A cruel smile played on his lips as he issued a final warning. "This is just a small taste of what we will do to you and everyone you love if you don't back off and stay out of our business. You have no idea what you're fucking with." With a sinister chuckle, Malachi ended the call, leaving me with the haunting aftermath of Frankie's gruesome demise. The lifeless phone slipped from my fingertips and dropped to the ground at my feet. My eyes instantly welled up and tears cascaded down my cheeks. I couldn't get that image out of my head, and how my oldest, greatest friend was now gone in the blink of an eye. I had to break it to Jennifer. Retelling what happened made me lose it all over again. Through my sniffling and tears, I went over the gruesome moment with as little details as possible. I had to protect her good memories of Frankie. I then broke the news to Veronica, and she was the only one who kept a brave face. She's always been so strong, and she cared for me while I grieved. As if watching everything unfold wasn't horrifying enough, a week later, I received an encrypted video file of Malachi directing his henchmen to dispose of Frankie's body. The mountain of a man lifted Frankie's body with relative ease and pushed it forcefully into a wood chipper. The scene surrounding them was a densely thick forest. The serene chirping of birds quickly became drowned out when Malachi flipped the switch and the machine whirred to life. The bloody remains spurted out the other side and into one of those lawn clipping collection bags. Mr. Voss next turned the wood chipper off, and its roar immediately died. The giant brute then grabbed at the lawn bag and carried it over to an industrial-sized drum. The image then focused down into the barrel, revealing a steaming, cloudy liquid. The camera panned down a little lower to reveal the contents of the barrel. Hydrofluoric acid. The unnamed bodyguard then poured the squelching pile of gore into the barrel. The shredded flesh sizzled and hissed as it hit the acid. Within seconds, every proof of Frankie's existence was completely dissolved into the caustic liquid. Malachi stared directly into the camera's lens and smirked. "Just taking out the trash," he finished with a wink. "This is the worst thing I've ever witnessed, but if there's any interest, I might provide an update once things cool off. My dad finished off my biological dad, and my mom doesn't know apologies for the title. My dad ended my biological dad. For context, I am adopted at birth, and I consider the people that raised me my real parents. I will also some details for obvious reasons, as this is a throwaway. Also, some details may be confused, as this was a drunken confession by my father after a long night and family problems. But I know him, and the broad details are true. The more exact might be a bit off. Also, he told me this about 6 years ago. This happened in the early 2000s, so my parents had been trying to have a kid for almost a decade. After multiple miscarriages and heartache, my parents couldn't have kids anymore. My father came home after work in the hospital to find my mother laying in a blood-covered bed. After a quick drive back to the hospital, they found she had a miscarriage and ruptured an artery. They could save her, but she would never be able to have kids. So after a good recovery, my parents decided, since we can't have kids, let's just party and have fun. They went on a cruise, bought a Corvette, the whole 9 yards. Well, my mother worked a gov job, that's all you need to know. And when they got back from the cruise, a colleague of hers asked if she was still interested in having a kid. She said yes, but why? And the colleague told her there is a kid that will be born shortly, and the father has had multiple warrants and the mother can't raise the kid. They were druggies, and both had a lengthy rap sheet. So she talked to my dad, and they agreed they would adopt me. A few weeks go by, and the proper paperwork had been done, and I was born. My parents were there the day I was born. When I was born, one of the nurses who knew I was an adoption baby told my parents to take me and run as soon as they could because I was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby. I guess that was a big deal back then. IDK. So that's what they did. As soon as they could, they brought me home. Well, bio parents have 3 months to change their mind from giving away their child. It had been 2.5 months from when my parents got me, and they couldn't have been happier. But my dad receives a phone call one day from my bio dad. Bio dad wanted me back and told my dad he was going to get me back and to meet him somewhere and sign some paperwork and hand me over, something along those lines. So my dad goes, "Okay, meet me here at some place near a lake." My dad never told my mom about this either. He said he had never seen her this happy and would do anything to keep her happy. So my dad and bio dad meet one night at some place. My dad never gave me more details than that, but the last thing he said before he ended the conversation was, "We never heard from her, my bio mom, again, and he's probably still at the bottom of the lake." I could tell by the look on his face he meant it. Now please keep in mind that neither moms were involved. My mom don't know about this, and IDK what my bio mom thinks, knows. My dad and I have never talked about it since, and that's all I know.